Hello and welcome. This is your host, Garima, and joining me on the Dais today is Mr. Rick. He's the president and CEO of Vertex Downhole. I'm so pleased to have you here with me today, sir. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Garima, for having me.
So let's begin with your story. What really motivated you to join the oil and gas industry? What has been your why?
Well, I'll tell you, growing up in Calgary, it's a natural choice for most young graduates. There's not a lot of choices here. This is an oil and gas town for sure. They call us the Houston of the North. So actually, after I finished university, I moved to the coast. I was in Vancouver for 15 years and worked as a U.S. defense contractor, doing some very large contracts for the U.S. military in the crane and large manufacturing sector. But came to a crossroads in my life and had a lot of pressure to come back to Calgary actually and hook up with old friends and family who were in the industry. So that brought me back. So I've been back now for about 12 years in Calgary and almost exclusively in the oil and gas sector.
Right. So help me understand some of the various career paths that you have taken up in the industry, the various roles that you have taken up so far.
So when I was doing the manufacturing, that was my own business. So I was the owner and operator, president of that business. But needed some diversity in my career. I started that up directly out of university, so I kind of skipped out on the corporate path. When I came back to Calgary, I worked with an EPC firm in a project management role, doing facilities construction in the pipeline industry, and then had some various roles from director, VP, all the way to this role now as the CEO of Vertex Downhole.
Right. And what is the story of Vertex Downhole Tools?
So Vertex Downhole was formed by a group of industry professionals with extensive background in MWD technologies. MWD being measuring while drilling. This company in 2011, after successfully developing their initial company, Blue Star Tools, and selling that, which eventually sold to GE. Coming back for a second bite at the apple was a decision they made because they believed there was more to offer the industry. Team in late 2018 to assist in scaling this business from a relatively small operation to becoming an industry leader in product offerings, sales, and technological advances. So this company was in the $20 million mark, and we're looking to expand to the $100 million mark. And to really create a world-class company here. When you have a great team and they're receptive to change. So I'll really say that my journey so far has been exceptional, excluding the past couple of months, of course. There's only so much you can do with when the world is collapsing around you. But it's other than, I think the entire industry, not just the entire industry, the entire world has been suffering. So we've been going through these difficult times together, and I think we'll forge a path forward. But for Vertex, I mean, we've streamlined a number of different processes in order to remain agile and marginally profitable during this period, while we continue to develop new products and advance our existing technologies. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward for when the market recovers to really take this to the next level.
Yes, absolutely, sir. And if we have to talk about the technology that is offered by Vertex, how would you differentiate that, and where do you see Vertex today?
So the differentiator for Vertex is the speed of our MWD platform. So measuring while drilling refers to the ability to transmit critical drilling data throughout the drilling process, such as inclination and azimuth, the direction of the tool bit, speed, rate of penetration, temperature, weight on bit, drilling pressure, etc. And the ability to transmit that data from downhole to the surface. So what that does is it allows drillers to make the best decisions possible to improve the accuracy and efficiency of the drilling process, particularly in directional drilling. So what sets us apart from our competitors is the speed at which we do that. The industry standard for data transmission is about a half a bit per second from downhole to the surface. If you want to put that in layman's terms, when you open up a picture on Facebook or Instagram, you're getting about a megabyte per second in order for the picture to open up. We're talking about half a bit per second. So 1/2 millionth of that would get on Instagram. So it's a very primitive way of communicating from downhole, like 2, 3, 4 kilometers in the earth to the surface. And you have to be very accurate at the information you're sending. So at a half a bit per second, the latency of the data is 2 minutes. That's the standard. So you're the driller and you're trying to make real-time decisions on how to steer the tool to get to the pay zone, and the information you're looking at is 2 minutes old. So imagine driving down the freeway with a blindfold on, and you're driving 50 kilometers an hour, and you only get a glimpse of what's happening once every 2 minutes.
Wow.
That's what this looks like. So we do that 8 times faster than anyone else. And it's not just 8 times faster, it's eight times the volume of data. So we're now transmitting 4 bits per second, and we have line of sight to doing that at 8 bits per second.
Wow.
So it means it's near real-time data transmission. So now the latency of our data is 15 seconds. At a curve, like when you curve out the well, it looks like a nice curve when you draw it on a piece of paper, but actually what's happening today is we're drilling this way, and then we say, oh, course correction, and then we drill that way. Course correction, this jagged, line. As we get that data to the surface faster, we can straighten out that curve, and it can actually become what it's supposed to be, or what was it intended to be. So all of this is an effort to be more efficient and more effective in drilling, so that we can get done faster, and not just to be more profitable, but to a smaller impact on the environment and everything else. So obviously the speed and the volume of data transmission translates directly to making better quality decisions that also increase the speed and the quality of drilling. At the end of the day, that makes everybody more profitable, and also it minimizes that environmental impact.
Right. This is absolutely amazing. I'm really thrilled when I'm hearing about this technology, and I really want to understand, were there any particular challenges you experienced during the initial phases of introducing this concept, and how has it been for you so far?
I think we're still in that mode. So they developed this technology a few years ago, and developed a really great platform actually to go along with it. It's a software platform. But with everything, with every development you have, there's give and take, there's issues. So we've been ironing out a lot of the little bugs that have been inherent in the system. They really haven't done a full blitz out into the full market. For instance, we are operating in 17 countries, including Canada, US, China, India, Saudi Arabia, but a very limited footprint in those countries. And that's like in relation to the quantity of drilling rigs. Obviously, that's it appears on paper we have a higher market share now because we've retained our market share, but really that was less than 1% a year ago, and now drilling rigs have come down 80%, and we've maintained our margin. That's actually getting closer to 1%. But what I'm getting at is when we're ready to fully introduce and commercialize this product, like it's everything is functioning, everything we're hitting on all cylinders, I think we're going to make a huge impact out there. We've also been focusing on increasing our product offerings in order to increase our value proposition and to capture additional market share in regions like Russia, China, and in the regions we're in right now, in Saudi Arabia and so on. I think that's the next biggest market for us, is the CIS countries, North Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia, and then getting deeper into the Middle East as well.
Right.
one of the critical components related to the expansion into those markets is the development of additional technologies that will allow for the use of LWD tools,
Mm-hmm.
logging well,
Mm-hmm.
and rotary steerable tools. So
Right.
right now we have kind of a simple solution to get us there, but we are working on some new technologies now that'll solidify that entire package.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those things. So kind of tweaking the product line that we have now to really be effective and do everything that we want it to do, that we need it to do. And then the introduction of new technologies that's going to allow us to penetrate new markets is going to be the key for us over the next 6 to 12 months. And then that combined with a new marketing strategy. So we're developing a new website now,
Mm-hmm.
and working with a branding company to really present the new image, the new face of Vertex.
Right. Right.
So we're really excited about all that, and we anticipate having a wider range of products available on the market by the end of 2020. So we're really, really excited about all of those things. So it's been a challenge. I think when I first came on, I believed that we were already there and we could just explode, but there was actually a lot of work to do. So it's been a little bit of a grind over the last year, and actually we're very fortunate to have been working with some great customers that have helped us grow as an organization and really give us the feedback that was required to tweak the product line to be exactly what it needs to be.
Amazing, amazing, sir. And talking about technology to such a great extent, I would like to understand, how do you really look at the blend of technology and human potential at this point of time in the oil and gas industry? Because oil and gas 4.0 has been such a core point of discussion in all the major events that we have had so far, and is going to be there in the narrative in the times to come. How are you looking at this blend, especially when we have a pandemic before us, which has completely redefined the way we look at things? How are you looking at this potential human and technology collaboration?
Well, I think that's critical in all industries, really. It's the combination of human potential and advancement. So we all know that crises like these are what drive innovation
Right.
in all. There hasn't been a lot of technological advancements in the oil and gas industry over the last 100 years. That most of it has been in the last 20 years, really, effectively speaking.
Right.
And times like these, where we're constrained on numerous levels, everyone's looking to do more with less. So unfortunately, there's a lot of talent available in the market because a lot of companies have been downsizing. We downsized 50% since March. I know that majors have downsized at least by that much. They're announcing more cutbacks every day. So there's a lot of really great talent available out there, and now is the time to make those changes. Like, and now in these downtimes is when you need to forge the new path to really make advances that are going to get us to the next level, because it will come back. We all know that oil and gas is cyclical, and follow that curve. When we come out of this, when we emerge out of this down cycle, it's going to be, everyone's going to be looking for additional efficiencies, faster, better. You need to be ready to strike. With regards to COVID-19, I mean, the COVID pandemic has had less direct impact on the oil and gas industry in North America than I think in the Eastern Hemisphere. Although, the rig count has dropped 80% in North America. I think we're operating at 40 rigs in Canada today and 265 in the US, which is abysmal. Those crews are still working, and everything is like the borders are still open. We're still conducting trade. Everything's moving. Whereas in the Eastern Hemisphere, we had our workers stuck in Oman for over 100 days because they closed the border, and he couldn't get back into Dubai. So there, it's not just a curtailed market and curtailed oil consumption. it's been crazy with the border shutting down. It's been very difficult to to maintain operations.
Right.
I mean, obviously, 75% reduction in rig activity in North America, like I said, is massively impactful to all energy-related businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, planes are starting to fly again. Manufacturing centers have returned to normal. We saw that blip when all the manufacturing centers in Asia shut down for a month. That it wasn't just a big blip on the reduction of consumption, energy consumption. It was a massive reduction in pollution in the world. I mean, it was all very visible. But like I said, we're starting to resume, and I believe that we're going to return to somewhat normal levels over the next few quarters, at least in terms of consumption. I believe there are over 50 research facilities globally that are collaborating to find a vaccine or cure or whatever for COVID. And we're going to start to see some serious results over that same time period. Like I said, we've seen some dramatic events happen in the Middle East and the CIS countries over the past few months, like the complete closure of borders, financial institutions, government agencies, as well as mandatory curfews for workers. It's been very, very difficult for sure. Yeah. So it will how it's impacted Vertex. We've been waiting on contract awards for those countries for 4 months now. Like they were ready in March, and it's been just indefinitely on hold. So it's had a serious impact on us and our profitability just in the short term. But I believe that those things are going to come back. So all of these things have put the energy sector companies into survival mode, particularly field service companies. We've been forced to reduce staffing, cut everywhere in order to ensure that we can weather the storm. And I think that's a very common theme in this, in our sector and in other sectors as well.
Right.
The difficult thing has been trying to predict how long this will last. The greatest opportunities lay in changing the way we do business. Travel. There's a huge amount of overhead costs, and we've seen the increased use of Microsoft Teams and Zoom and other platforms like we are today. I think the industry is starting to believe that travel isn't as necessary as it was deemed in the past.
Right.
What we do in business is driven by habit, perception, and expectations, and a lot of it is not actually essential to our success. So how is it going to affect us moving forward? I think we're going to see a different world. This world is going to be, might reduce having staff, in big offices downtown where the cost of those offices is quite high. It comes at a premium. They'll be work remotely or work at home, and definitely less travel. So it will have an overall impact on the consumption of oil and gas resources, especially in planes, and people are going to be more cautious in the near term. The near term being a couple of years until we've really got our arms around this. But I mean, historically, we've seen pandemics, every 100 years, like on this scale.
Right.
I think as this industrialization continues, and we've done lots of crazy things over the last 50 years, I believe that 500 years from now, they're going to look back at this age as the dark age, like we look at 500 years ago, because mustard gas and detergents and poisons and toxins and this and COVID. I think that there's going to be something else waiting for us 2, 3, 5 from now. So all of the coping strategies that we're implementing now are going to be critical, I think, to the survival of and the moving forward of mankind.
So amidst all of this, there's one issue that is gaining a lot of attention. That is, how do the oil and gas companies market and brand themselves during this time? Because we do not have the luxury of all those offline events that we used to attend when the COVID-19 crisis was not there. Things are changing dramatically. How we used to connect with people has changed. And as you mentioned, how we do business is changing. amidst all of this, how are you looking at marketing and branding strategies in the current times?
I believe that like the marketing strategies will remain somewhat the same. So we're working on a new web platform right now. So a lot of it's going to be web based. I believe there's a way that we can better utilize social media to get here. But you're absolutely right. The traditional methods, meeting at big conferences and spending thousands and millions of dollars on big booths. And I know when I was at Tesco, we would come and we would bring a top drive down to the OTC at Houston, and this big top drive would be sitting there. I mean, that's just showing off. Why would you spend $50,000 to bring this massive piece of equipment, put it in the middle of that hall? It's not like we're going to turn it on and see how it drills.
Right.
I think that was really old-fashioned, and like I said, showing off. Like who's got the better, who can spend more money on this? It was kind of crazy. We need to be more efficient, more streamlined.
Right.
I would much rather put the money that I would use on that type of display and offer you a piece of equipment to trial. Like let's get a piece of equipment out onto your job site, and we'll mobilize it, and you can use it for a couple of weeks for free to see, so we can show you what the tool can do. I think that's a much better utilization of funds, of marketing funds, than just showing it off. But if you see the box and you can touch it, and you can see it's made of metal, or look at it on the website and you can see the same thing.
Right.
You need to touch it to make sure it's real. I don't know. I think companies need to get smarter. I think one of the reasons why oil and gas industry gets kind of a bad name is we spend a lot of money on irrelevant things. Let's move it towards getting the technology better, so we can extract better. There is great technology available, but we're not using it everywhere in the world. So, for example, the Canadian government is saying we're going to reduce emissions by an additional 3%. Well, we're already 80-90% efficient. So that 80-20 rule, we're already really good. We're one of the best countries in the world as far as energy, like the reduction of emissions. So we're going to throw at becoming incrementally better. Why don't we help a third world country that's extracting, let's say, somewhere in North Africa, and they're actually polluting quite a bit? Why don't we help them have access to new technologies so that we can reduce their emissions by 50%?
Right.
Isn't that our goal overall, globally, to reduce emissions and to get to the point where we need to get? I think there's a marketing opportunity here where if the big countries, the guys with the great technology and the best qualified people in the world, why don't we go help the little guys more and get them closer to the level? I think there's a huge opportunity to market that way and to become more value to your company and to this industry than what we're doing now.
And so you did mention the industry getting a bad name, and that is such an important subject, and there is so much noise on social media regarding that, regarding the whole climate change debate. How important it is to tell the right story about this industry, and who should really take the responsibility of doing that? Because we really need to engage with these activists and really need to understand what is going wrong here and how best the industry can come up with solutions. What is the picture there according to you?
I'm glad you brought this up, Garima, because I'll tell you, Alberta's really been taking a beating over I don't know how many years over environmental issues, with our reserves being characterized as dirty oil or tar sands. And for some reason, the Canadian government hasn't done anything about this, anything to rectify this situation. Truth of the matter is, the large proportion of technological advancements in the energy sector that have led to cleaner, faster, more efficient extraction, processing, and the shipping of oil and gas have come from Canada, where have been developed by Canadians abroad. This needs to be a point of pride, not one of shame. The fact of the matter is, petroleum products are used in everything that we use today, in every product. I think that most people would agree that there's a better way. There must be a better way to produce more reliable and renewable energy. But until we get there, until we find out what that element is, we have to keep doing what we're doing, and we have to do it better. The current global consumption of oil is about 100 million barrels a day, and there's just no way to turn it off cold turkey. It's awesome. Do we need to find better alternatives? Oh, absolutely. But in the meantime, why not improve the way we're drilling today in order to minimize the impact that we're having on the environment? That's exactly what we're doing at Vertex. So take, for instance, our high-speed telemetry. With advanced MWD technologies, wells can be drilled in 5 to 7 days. Wells that used to take 30 days or more to drill. Faster, more accurate drilling means drilling companies can spend less time on site. Directional drilling has reduced environmental impact by 75%. I mean, we used to come on site and drill 50 holes on this big plat of land. Now we're drilling 5 holes, and underground we're going laterally in order to get to the extraction zone. Companies like Vertex are bright examples of environmental stewardship, and should be commended for their efforts, not condemned. What we require more of is support, from the international community to advance drilling technologies and practices in less developed countries in order for them to become more efficient and better champions of the environment. The global statistics, Canada is already one of the cleanest producers on earth. So instead of spending billions and to reduce emissions by an additional 2 or 3%, why not country X to reduce their emissions by 50 or 60%, right? That the initiatives that have been implemented are out of whack and need to be refocused in order to produce the greatest results. So who's responsible for that? That was your question. I believe the onus is on us. Our industry, we need to speak up and say, hey guys, enough. This is a load of crap. We're actually doing a good job here. So help us help the environment to get even better. We can reduce these emissions. We can keep doing what we're doing and reduce emissions globally just by implementing the technology that we have and supporting companies like Vertex and other companies that are trying to do this better, safer, more efficiently. I mean, we haven't even talked about safety. Look at the explosion that happened just recently. Beirut. So government officials were aware for years, and specialists were saying, guys, this is a really bad situation. We're not following protocols. Something bad is going to happen. Oh, no, it'll be fine. Let's ignore it until a catastrophic situation evolved. I think that's a parallel here. We know that there's very poor drilling practices being perpetrated around the world, but nobody's stepping up to fix it.
Right.
And then the guys who want to be involved and want to be a pioneer, like the Canadian government, saying, oh, we'll spend billions and we'll increase by 1 or 2%. What's the point?
Right.
That's insane. Let's go to North Africa. Let's go into the less developed regions of the Middle East, or let's go into Southeast Asia, and let's get the new technology to them, teach them how to do it better, save lives, improve the quality of drilling and performance, and then we're going to see massive improvements there. And that will have a huge impact on the world, on so many different fronts.
Right.
Not just from environmental stewardship, but what you're talking about kind of on the marketing side, we need to add a human element to this. And not just a human, but kind of world conservation element behind this, because all the elements are in place here. We have to do it. We just need to promote ourselves and not let, paid protesters come and cause havoc and have the rest of the problem is a lot of people are not educated. they're just ignorant to the fact because they're not involved in the industry. And then you come home from work and you're living your own life and you're very involved, and you turn on the 6 o'clock news and you see these protests and you think, oh, why are people protesting?
Mm-hmm.
Well, transporting oil is going to kill the whales. Well, we shouldn't kill whales. That's bad.
Right.
Well, drilling for oil and transporting oil is bad.
Right.
And because limited understanding of the reality. So the onus is on us. We need to educate.
Right.
We need to, guys, this is why it's important. This is how we're doing it. This is why we're great at what we do. This is why we're environmental stewards and we're trying to save the environment while providing all the necessary goods that you would like. So help us, help the rest of the world to get here too. Because we're a small fraction of the world, but we're at this level and we can get everyone else to get to that level. So you said who's responsible? We are.
Where do you see the gaps in the industry if we talk about drilling and exploration activities in terms of technology or workforce operations? Where do you really see the gaps where we need to work upon?
So again, two different sides of the equation. One is educating, the masses and having political support for doing the right thing. The other side of the equation is even the old technology can extract resources, which make money. Mm-hmm. So from a purely economic standpoint, why spend money to reduce impact on the environment if it just makes you less profitable?
Mm-hmm.
I think in developing countries where they're just trying to extract either for domestic use or for profit, they're trying to do it as cost effectively as possible. So unfortunately, that means using old rigs that aren't safe, not providing PPE, not treating the extractions and cuttings and effluents properly, mm-hmm. just letting or dropping them in the middle of the field and then leach back into the ground. That's a big problem.
Right.
So this is regulation, implementation of the proper rigor to ensure that we're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. And I think missing, not to name countries specifically, but in the countries that are more driven by bottom line and not environmental stewardship, that's where we see the gap. And unfortunately, that's in a very large portion of the world. And I think that's it all comes full circle. I mean, that's where we need to step up.
Right.
As Canadians and leaders in this industry, that's where we need to step up and with political support, we can put enough leverage on those governments to do the right thing. And I think it's going to take some effort on our part to try to move some better technologies there to help them. Like get rid of that old crap that's dangerous and ineffective. So I believe that the biggest gap is the obstacle to evolution and success moving forward, because ultimately we need everyone on the same page mm-hmm. if we're going to support adoption of new technologies and methodologies. Right. So ultimately, where am I going to sell more MWD kits? I'm not going to sell them into companies that are into countries that are saturated mm-hmm. with the companies that have hundreds or thousands of tools. My biggest market is going to be in areas where they need to replace their tools or they need to implement newer tools. Right. And there's only one way we're going to get there, and that's working together to get rid of the old crap and put the new stuff in. That's mm-hmm. more effective, safer, all of those things.
Right. And now, sir, considering the unprecedented times, what is your message for the global oil and gas community? What is here to stay and what would really go beyond COVID-19?
I think my message would be the biggest gains available to us as leaders in the industry is assisting in upgrading the processes and technologies in the regions, in other regions that are the largest contributors to pollution, climate change, human rights violations, and safety. We all know what needs to be done, but there's not enough momentum or buy-in to get it done. Again, let's look at the recent explosion in the port of Beirut. Government officials were warned of a potential devastating outcome years ago, and didn't do anything about it for various reasons. Because it was not convenient, or because they were profiting from whatever. I don't know what the reason is, but we can use that example on a global basis. Someone always has their own personal interests ahead of doing what's right. Right? And I think that's what we need to do. We need to do what's right. And doing what's right is going to help build this industry and get us to where we need to go. It's apathy and complacency that leads to bad results. Continued drilling practices lead to perpetuating the negativity surrounding the oil and gas industry. So oil spills are caused by a mistake somewhere, and that mistake came from complacency or not enforcing of the rules or neglecting what was right. And then what happens ultimately? We'll clean up the spill, and there'll be some negative effects to that. But ultimately, the whole industry is frowned upon, and then we have more obstacles to moving forward to success. We have the ability to remain profitable while extracting and processing our natural resources, not just oil and gas. While maintaining standards of human and environmental stewardship, but we choose not to because we try to maximize profits at any cost. Some are too high. The to survive for a long time because the demand for oil and gas is not going away anytime soon. But the world will stand by and accept poor levels of performance only so long. I mean, we're seeing a lot now. Society will simply not tolerate oil spills, explosions, or poor environmental maintenance. We can do better. And we're doing better in some regions. We need to do better everywhere. And I think that's the message that I would give the world. There's companies like Vertex that are really moving the needle forward so we can be better, safer, more efficient, all of that. We need to all get on that bandwagon and do this well. We need to be excellent at what we do.
Right.
And we are in some respects, but we need to be excellent everywhere. And I think that's gonna be the biggest movement moving forward, is a consolidation of everyone's efforts and doing the right thing. And like I say, when the time comes when we figure out how to make energy out of hemp or marijuana seeds, then great, then we'll get there. But until that time, this is the best thing that we can do, right? So let's be best at it.
Absolutely. So that's a very strong, powerful message. And now I would like to understand, how do you look back on your journey and where do you see Vertex in the times to come?
My career has been a journey of growth and development, and over 25 years, I've been a lifelong learner and trying to. I know that I don't know a lot, and I'm trying to learn more. The biggest pitfalls in life is not knowing what you don't know. I'm very fortunate to be working with a pioneer in the MWD industry here. We've been working very hard to create a platform that will enable every drilling company to maximize their efficiencies while enabling a cleaner and sustainable drilling platform. I believe there's a bright future ahead of us, and that our emerging technologies combined with our industry-leading telemetry speed will set a new benchmark for the industry. So I think that this too will pass. COVID will pass. Everything will kind of resume some type of normality. It will be different, but in terms of energy consumption, we're going to get back to where we were or exceed. I mean, when you follow the curve, it goes up. There's blips and there's dips, but it continues to grow. There's still 7 billion people in the world, and in a few years it'll be 8 billion and 9 billion, and we need to get better at what we do. We do need more water. We need more food. We need more energy. Let's do it smarter. Let's get together. Let's join forces and be smart. Let's at the very end, let's tie this back to COVID. If I was alone trying to find the cure, it might take 50 years because I don't know what I'm doing. But 50 different organizations from all over the world are collaborating to find this cure, and they're going to find a cure.
Right.
Within the next few months, we'll have the tools to move forward and beyond this situation, and that's because we're working together. And I think that's the future for oil and gas. In order to get better, we need to work together to, to get there.
Right, right.
Thank you so much for having me today. This was excellent. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for joining me today, sir. I congratulate you on your journey so far, and I truly celebrate the story of Vertex. Thank you so much once again.